Yes, hello everybody. Welcome back. How you doing today? Woo! End of this long break in Premier League football. Though we did have an Arsenal bottle on Wednesday that we already got to talk about and enjoy, but it's been a long break. Good Lord. And we've got 21 days break coming up just a month from now. So enjoy the next 4 weeks because that long 21 days is going to be brutal. And I have to say, it is the quietest I have ever, and I mean ever, seen things around the club. For better or worse, it is dead silent. I'm sitting here every day going, what the hell to talk about? And it's not even like just because there's no news. It's like, what else even behind the scenes can we talk about? Is there to be discussed? Because it's quiet behind the scenes too at the moment, and that's why there's no stories. Things are just plugging along. There's just people are training. Things are calm. And I think, of course, that's a good representation of what I'm polling here. And of course, what we'll talk about a little bit today as we're finally getting back to football, which are the comments from Dalot Cunha on Ruben Amorim, on some of the things that have gone around, which certainly fly in the face of a lot of people who've given me a lot of shit about my views on what Amorim did at this club or whatever. And that's not, again, none of it changes the factor of wins and losses and all of those types of things. But certainly it goes against what has become a very popular and totally false narrative about Ruben Amorim's time at United and the idea that there was nothing at all good to be done of it, except there was a lot. And the whole rebuild aspect, the fixing the culture, things like that, touched on by both Cunha and Dalot. So it'll be interesting. We will talk about that. But we also have a huge game this weekend. Huge game this weekend against Everton at Merseyside at their new stadium. I think it's our first game there ever, right? Because last year they were still in their old stadium, if I'm not mistaken. Or is it not? Why? Maybe the years are blending. The years are blending together for me at this point in time. But I can't remember if we've played at the new Everton Stadium or not. Was it 2 years ago or a year ago? I genuinely do not know how long it has been. Maybe last season we played there. But regardless, it is an interesting period for us, and it's a difficult game. It's the first time. Okay, cool. It's a difficult game for us because they're tough. Everton are tough. You look at them in the table here. Let's pull this up. Everton, 8th place, right? We know it's always a tough game against them. And Chelsea, meanwhile, are playing Burnley, and Liverpool are playing Forest. Make sure I'm right on that. Yes. So the two teams below us are playing the two of the relegation candidates. Burnley, one of the worst teams in the league. I honestly think they might be worse than Wolves. I know the points don't reflect it. But Chelsea playing a really poor Burnley side, and Liverpool playing Nottingham Forest. And so that means, of course, the pressure is on. And we'll know by Monday, by the time we play, whether or not they have beaten them. But it could well be, if they win those games, they will be, well, it depends on the margin of victory for Liverpool. Liverpool could be level on points with us. Chelsea are very likely to be above us in the table either way. Even with a draw, Chelsea would move above us in the table. Obviously, we'd have that game in hand. But it's big because we definitely have the most difficult game this weekend. And not just that Everton are a tough side, but because Everton are kind of a little bit, not a bogey team because we've beaten them a lot over the years, but under Moyes, these defensive sides, similar to what we saw with West Ham, we have some trouble. We've had some trouble with these teams, and this is still the big question mark with this team is, can we play against the small sides in the way that we want to? And I don't know, man. I'm scared. I'm a little bit scared because I'm riding this positivity, and we're good. And we've been pretty good, in my opinion, all year. We've been pretty good all year. We've never really been that bad, but we have struggled to get it over the line against the small sides. That hasn't changed. We got knocked out by Brighton. We lost we didn't beat West Ham. We lost to earlier in the year to Everton. We drew to West Ham. That's 3 different managers. We drew to Burnley under Fletcher, and I know obviously they were the timing and all of that, but none of the 3 coaches we've had this year so far have wins against the small sides. Carrick's first one against the bottom, it was a draw. Fletcher was a draw against Burnley. We have yet to actually see anyone win the small games consistently. If you look at that so far this season, that's not a commentary on coaches. It's a matter of fact in looking at this side at this point in time. Those are the games that are worrying. And Everton's not necessarily a small side, but they play in a very defensive way. And we've got a few of these coming up. Palace, Brentford, it's all going to be like this. These are the ones that are going to tell us whether we get into Champions League at the end of the year or not, because there's just more of these games. And this is where you climb the table. So I think that the air of nervousness about it is justified, just as it was ahead of the West Ham game. I remember discussing it before that weekend, all of us, what feels like ages ago now. And I remember a lot of us sitting there going, just don't feel good about this game. And I remember commenting on that Friday and saying, I've never seen the fan base, like, after 4 wins in a row, be so, like, nervous about this game. You know what I mean? And then lo and behold, it was justified. We struggled in that game, man. We really did. So it makes sense. No offense, but I hope to close this, Ange gets to United is in his dreams. Yeah, it's really funny. And Postecoglou talking, he's a great speaker, and I quite like him as a person. But I gotta say, don't you find it a little bit ironic? Like, I've seen a lot of love in for Postecoglou from a lot of people who hated Ruben Amorim. While Postecoglou's getting a lot of love for being about, I'm going to do it my way. That's his whole shtick.
Carrick has never lost a game as United manager. Cool
Very
face
true.
emoji.
Very true. Very true. Up to Carrick. Postecoglou's whole shtick was, I'm going to do it my way. He's literally the same as Amorim. Attitude-wise. It's my way or nothing. You know what I mean? It's my way or nothing. I don't see why he's getting all this praise from a bunch of people who hated the way that Amorim coached. I don't understand it. Postecoglou is worse. His players are getting injured constantly. Talked specifically about risking players he shouldn't have been risking. He did not fix things behind the scenes at all. In fact, a lot of it got worse and worse. What's the love affair for Postecoglou? And again, I quite like him, but I'm not being a hypocrite here. I like the attitude. I like coaches who stick to their guns. You know what I mean? But I don't understand where the popularity for Postecoglou is. And I agree. Stay the hell away from United. Obviously, we're not going to hire him, but it's just a strange one to me. He did speak very well, though. He did speak very well. He did. He spoke very well. And I like hearing him. I don't think he's better. I don't really care about the trophies argument. I didn't care about it for Ten Hag. Look at Spurs the next season. There were no foundations being laid. They didn't fix the club. They didn't fix the team. They didn't lay in anything. The style that they implemented was they're still in the bottom of the club, and it's not all of Thomas Frank's fault when it goes from one to the next like that. You know, I don't think he did a good job at all, actually. I get it. They won the Europa League. Good for them. Fair enough. They won the Europa League. They beat us in the final. They were shit in that final. We just were shitter. Again, one player. If we had one player like Dalot Cunha or Šeško in that game, I guarantee we win it. We had the worst forwards in the league. You know, I don't know, man. I don't know. Our team was bad last year. That team couldn't have scored goals for 270 minutes. We could have played 3 games and we wouldn't have scored with against the way that they set up. If we didn't even have Onana in net, who's cost us Champions League groups, Europa finals, League Cups, he's cost us tons of them. Like, I'm not really chalking that one up to managers, to be honest. I just don't see it. Laman's in net, we win that game. You know what I mean? They've added players and they're still shit because they are who they are. And they never implemented a good style. Anyway, it's just an interesting one. I quite like Postecoglou from a speaker perspective, from an attitude perspective. I think he's funny. I think he's entertaining. But yeah, there's no way he comes anywhere near United. That's for sure. Every time you say the word, every time you talk about Onana, people get heated. Every time, man. It's hard. Every time you think about Onana, it's like stress, anger. That's just how it is, isn't it? Like, oh man, Onana, what a guy. What a strange thing it had been after we, were so whoa, what the hell? Hold on a sec. Sorry. What a strange trip it's been with keepers, and thank God finally that we have somebody. But looking at this Everton game, what are you guys' expectations for it, honestly? Because I'm looking at the numbers on Everton, and they're, again, another one of these teams, right? Low possession, low pressing. This group here, I swear to God, this group causes us more trouble than this group. Am I wrong? We've won and drew. We've won and lost. We've won and lost. We have wins against every single team in this quadrant this season. You realize that? We have wins against every single team in this quadrant this season. Against this group, draw. Did we play Leeds? Draw, win, loss, win, and draw, win, draw, win, draw. Like, our record is better against this quadrant than this quadrant. No joke. It's crazy, and it's bad against this quadrant too. Like, left of this line, loss, draw. Like, it's crazy when you think about it. But this is this thing, right? Against teams where we have more of the ball, our record is actually really poor. In fact, we've played 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 games against these teams, and we have 1, 2, 3, 4 wins out of 13. Am I wrong? Is my math wrong? We have 4 wins out of 13 against teams with lower than 50% possession. Is my math wrong? Am I forgetting a game? That's crazy. That's crazy. You're saying we're getting relegated against, and we've lost. We haven't lost a lot. That's the good part. We've been in every game. That's why we have a shitload of draws, right? I mean, this is the reason why we have so many draws this year. Because these are the games we're drawing. Burnley, West Ham twice, not Everton. Wolves, all of that. That is actually nuts to think about it. I mean, if you look at us in the table, these 9 draws, right? That's where they're coming from, right? All of these draws. Lower possession, low possession, low possession, low possession, low possession. It's all the same teams. Every single one of these draws, bar Tottenham. Tottenham is the only game this season we have drawn against a team that except maybe Fulham. So 2 out of our 9 draws are against teams that average more possession, 50%. That's crazy. It's actually crazy to think about that as a stat. It is actually crazy to think about as a stat, but it makes sense, and it's why I have these concerns about this. It's why I worry about the situation that we have over these next few games. Because that's what we're about to face. When you look at our schedule, this is what we're facing. This is what we're up against. Below, look, Everton, Palace. Where did Villa sit on this? Yeah, they're a higher possession team. We should have beat them last time. Oops, wrong button. Everton, Palace, Bournemouth, Leeds, Brentford. We got a bunch of them coming up. Those are tough games. Why do it's weird. For some reason I thought did these games get shuffled, or am I just being stupid? No. Anyway, yeah, it's crazy. It's crazy to think about. There's a lot of them. It's those ones, man. No, I mean, Newcastle away is going to be tough. It always is for us, but yeah, and it is the team that we have. Like we talked about after West Ham, the problem that we have against these sides is our inability to really commit to going forward against them for counters. And we saw that against West Ham. What I'm looking for this weekend in my hopes, and we'll do this on Sunday, we'll do our squad vote, we'll do all that kind of stuff. What I'm looking for from Carrick this weekend against Monday, I know it's Monday, but on Monday against Everton, is pace. We've got to inject some pace into this team. One, Benji, he's got to play. Šeško, get him on there. But secondly, we need pace. We need pace in the middle of the pitch, in that square between the 2 midfielders and the 2 center backs. We've got to inject some pace into there, and we've got to go for it. If you want to send Casemiro forward, attacking the boxes, fine. Get him in the box with Šeško, leave Menu deep, and get Lenny Yoro in behind. We got to have some pace in behind to defend against those counters, because they'll do it to us. These guys will do it to us. They'll hit us hard. But Šeško for those loaded boxes, so that it doesn't always have to be a numerical advantage. We can win some headers. That's why Casemiro is so good, by the way, because you can win without having numerical advantages with him sometimes when he's getting those headers. But we've got to be able to beat them this way. But I'm looking for Šeško and Lenny primarily. I could see it. I don't think we'll make a change in the midfield, but Šeško and Lenny primarily. That's what I'm looking for, and that means we get Mbeumo back over on the right. But what about Ahmad? That pace running back, are we going to miss him? Secondly, we got to get... we have to figure out how to move one of those back 3 forwards, right? Because the ironic thing is on this, and let's just look at this, by the way. This quote right here. This is from Cunha, who plays in the team. I've gotten a lot of heat for saying that the way we play isn't that different. Cunha says, football numbers and shapes can be misleading. We attack in many different ways and usually defend in the structure everyone labels as Rubens. So there's Cunha saying we're still defending and setting up our rest defense and such the same way as Amorim's system, which I've said many times is true. And I don't know why people still get so offended by the idea that there's nuance in these discussions. But we're still defending in the same way. But one of the problems with that people had complaints people had complaints about it when we played against Everton at home, right? Understandably, and complaints about it when we played against West Ham, is that we continued to work through the back three behind the ball. We had 3 guys sitting in a line. But against West Ham away in the last game, we still did that. We played with 3. Dalot would not go forward, right? We were still sitting with 3 center backs in the back line. It was just Dalot instead of Shaw. There was no difference there. You know, we were still sitting with 3 guys in the back. And I agree. That was a problem under Ruben, was that we wouldn't commit to going forward. We would still sit with 3 behind the ball against a loaded box. It's too many defenders back. But we're still doing that. That's another thing we need to see change against these deep blocks, is that we weren't beating them before for that reason, and we're not going to beat them now. And it's for the same reason, being scared of the counter. We needed Dalot to go forward and get forward and attack. The alternative is to play Mazraoui, have him be a cleanup guy, and just let Lissandro get as high up the pitch as you want. And that, to me, would be an interesting way to do it. I think a good adjustment that we could make. I'll try to pull it up and show what I mean, but I think that would be a really interesting adjustment to the way that we are defending in these games, is that you could stick Mazraoui at the back, who's quite pacey, or Dalot, to be fair. I don't really care. Dalot has some good pace as well to defend. And you could have Lenny and Dalot as your 2. And then Lissandro has a free role to get forward or step up into like the 6, push Casemiro and Mainu up. And that way we get more attackers and we have pace at the back. And that's one change. Sticking Lenny back there, we can get the pace in the back. And I think we kept Dalot deep so he could defend with pace, right? I think that's why he was there. But we've got to somehow commit more players to go forward against these low blocks and turn these draws into wins, or we will not make it into this top 5. The games are too tight. This weekend, without a win, we are going to be probably level with Liverpool. If without a win, we've almost for sure be level with Liverpool. And it's a dogfight, man. It's going to be a dogfight. And hoping that they drop off, maybe they will. Maybe Chelsea will plummet again and do stupid things. It's always possible. But we need to stay in control of our destiny, and that means turning these draws into wins. So many of them. We drew 7 times against these lower half teams, the same teams we're going to be playing like 5 of our next 7 games against. We got to. We've got to be able to fix that, okay? So that's what I'm looking for this weekend against Everton. Let's change that. Let's start there. Get Šeško on and figure out some way to commit more players against these loaded blocks and commit more to the attack and win. I remember that, Anish, when Ahmad's screaming at Dalot to get forward, but he just wouldn't. But are you saying that's Dalot, or are you saying that's instruction? I don't know. I don't know. I can imagine that it's instruction because it was so consistent for a long time. Like, for example, Casemiro getting forward, right? He didn't do it till 55 minutes, till we conceded. Casemiro was not going forward into the box. That must have been instruction, right? Like that must have been our tactics, was stay deeper until we get forward. Because I use the Casemiro example because whatever you think of Dalot, Casemiro is a very intelligent footballer, right? Casemiro is a very experienced, intelligent footballer. Well, Casemiro wasn't attacking. So surely that was instructional at that point in time. Like, Casemiro is somebody I trust that is following the instructions of the coach at all times, right? Knows what he's doing. Maybe he's got some freedom to make the decision himself, but until we conceded, he wasn't going forward. So was our instruction to keep a few more defenders back up until we conceded and then we started committing? I don't know, but we have to fix that. That's the biggest factor that we have to fix in the lead up till Monday. Šeško on the pitch and fix and commit more players into the box. If we're going to turn these games around, we have got to start turning draws into wins. If we play like the latter part of the West Ham game, we might be okay. Well, that's what I'm saying, right? If we're going to turn the draws into wins, it's not mystical. We playing these defensive teams, it should look like the latter part of that West Ham game. And yes, it was kind of crazy. We could see that these huge counters. We had to run back and defend. So what? That's risk. But those are the risks you have to take in order to beat these lower sides. Those are the risks you take in converting draws into wins against the defensive teams. And the lack of ability or willingness to take those risks is what will stop us from picking up the 3 points. Yeah, we might lose more, but this is it, right? If we play 4 games against the bottom sides and we win 2, lose 2, that's 6 points. If you play 4 games against the bottom sides and you don't risk it and you draw all 4, that's 4 points. It's better to go for the win and trust in your players and commit than it is draw. That was the biggest complaint before, and that's still what we have to change. If over the next 5 games against these bottom teams with under 50% possession, we go for it and we win 3 and lose 2, that's 9 points in 5 games. And you know what? That's not bad. That's probably good enough to keep us in the top 5. Whereas if we play conservatively and we draw 3, lose 1, win 1, we're going to be on 6 points or 5 points if we draw them all. We've got to go for it. And it's not inconceivable to draw them. It isn't. If you look at our record against the bottom sides. So we've got to take that risk. Be willing to see a counter running at us and Lenny and Lamens doing good work to shut it out. If you watch Liverpool when they were getting 100 points, they faced tons of counters, but they shut them down. If you watch City over the years that they won a lot of games, they faced tons of counters, but they went and cleaned them up. We have to be willing to face those counterattacks and deal with it in order to turn these draws into wins. And that's the biggest thing we need to see to evolve as a team, become more risk-taking and just go for it and moving forward. That's it. That's what we've got to do. So that's what I'm looking for this weekend. That's where I'm at. I don't know about you guys, but that's how I feel. Look, some of the valid complaints that have been out there is that, of course, we played dull football at times against lower teams, right? And that's where all these draws are, the West Hams, the Everton, the Leeds, the things like that. We've played dull games, and that was the biggest complaint. That was it. So I agree, fair enough. And at the time, I thought they weren't as bad as people thought because we had turned our losses into draws. First half of the season, that's what we did. We turned games we lost last year into draws. People weren't happy. I get it. It wasn't enough. We could be better than that. But the next stage is turning draws into wins. And that might mean you lose more games. But it also means you win more games. And that's where we are right now. And I think that's, for the second half of the season, I think that's what we all wanted to see, right? Is continued progress. And what would continued progress look like? It's taking those 9 draws or 8 draws or whatever it was and turning them into 6 wins and 2 losses. I think everybody would take that. I mean, it's crazy to think about the fact that we've lost as many games as City this year, but we have 8 fewer points because of those 4 draws that we haven't turned into wins. If you look at our record since October 1st, I want to say. Yeah, here, let's take a look at this. If you look at our record since then, we've only lost 2 games. The fewest in the league. But look at our points. Lower. Like, it's still 3rd or 4th on points because we didn't risk it. We didn't risk it enough with all these draws in those games. We just didn't. We have to be willing to take that risk. We just have to. So that's the next phase in our evolution. Go for it. You know what I mean? Go for it. That's where we need to be. I think that's what we all want to see out of this United team is the willingness, the commitment to go for it. You know, it's fine and it's easy to play conservatively at times. And we need to at times and all of that. But these small games are different, man. Yeah, Lamens has only lost 2 Premier League games. 2. Everton, which 1 shot on target, 1 goal we couldn't score against 10 men, which is crazy to think about. That's one of his losses. Like, and then the other one was, what other game did we lose? Villa, which also we probably should have won. But that was it. Those are the only games Lamans has lost in the league. Villa and Everton. So, yeah. So that's it. You know what I mean? That's it. Villa and Everton. And now we're playing those teams again soon. And there's a reason we lost to those teams, and we have to reconcile that and fix it moving forward. So that's what I'm looking for. 10 wins, 7 draws, 2 losses with 4 clean sheets. Let's make that 13 wins, 4 losses, 3 draws. You know what I mean? 2 draws. And I think we'd be happy, right? Because then we'd be on 4 or 5 more points, and it would be great as well. So that I think we're all in agreement there, and that would be the next phase in evolution for this team. Let's take a look at a couple of quotes here, all right? And this is not to dredge up the past. This is because these are quotes made today and yesterday from Cunha and Dalot during this long break, and because, frankly, we've got no fucking other stuff to talk about because it's damn quiet right now, right? Diogo Dalot says, I will look at Ruben Amorim as something really important in this club's history. And I think it's a little bit bold to say it and people might not believe it. But as soon as he came, he changed a lot of stuff, a lot of things that you don't see. What didn't work was what we did on the pitch in terms of results. But I think he created a great group of players that we have now. And Cunha said as well, I'll always be grateful to Ruben. When things change, it's easy to focus only on the problems. But he was an incredible person. Many of the players here came because of him. He played a huge role in our current success. So this isn't oh my God, Ruben's the best thing that has ever happened, but it is to say this. There are people that have gone way over the top on everything, and I've gotten so much heat over the last month for continuing to stick by that point. Ruben did a lot to help us rebuild the club. And if that's all I would take away from his tenure, 14 months, fixing the culture, fixing the first team, getting the right players in place, improving the squad, and having a team that is together, I'm happy. That's why I said I'm satisfied with the job that he did. Because in that respect, nobody else did it. Ralf Rangnick talked about it. It didn't happen. Nobody did it. In many instances, when they left, the culture, the team, the togetherness was worse than when they arrived. He did that. He helped with that. It was a necessary part of the evolution. And so when I see things like, oh, Carrick, if he had come in the beginning, no, it wouldn't have been the same because there was necessary things to go through for this team, to rebuild, to fix, to clear out that nobody else did and nobody else had done and that not everybody necessarily would have done. And on that basis, you don't have to listen to me because player themselves know it. They say it. They see it. I said it because I saw it in person myself over the summer. I spoke to a lot of people. I saw it. And so many of them. I sat there with Luke Shaw when he's talking about stragglers and things like that. Those were not hollow words. And people made fun of him at the time saying it. But look at the difference. Look at the difference. He specifically, there is more to that. He specifically says that he changed the culture and brought discipline back to the squad. And you could see it. The one thing we all know this year, everyone has to acknowledge it. The squad never downed tools. They never downed tools. They never quit. They never stopped. Even when we weren't winning, they didn't fall apart. At the beginning of the year, it was bumpy, and there was times I was pissed. As the year went on, even towards, the end of Ruben's tenure when things were tense, the squad never quit. They never gave up. It didn't fall apart. It didn't turn to absolute shit. You didn't have mutiny and the things that we've seen in the past. None of that happened. And that is very, very important to note. It is important to note those things because that stuff was necessary. That stuff was necessary. And regardless of what happened, it was never done before. So if that 14 months was our rebuild and we end up where we are now and Carrick is, and like Dalot said, the results on the pitch didn't work. So fair enough, right? Yeah, the results at the end of the day, that's it. But if Ruben was the guy to tear it down and rebuild it, but was not the guy to take us on the pitch tactically, that's totally fair, and that is what it looks like to me. Is that's where we're at. And maybe it's Carrick for now, and maybe it's somebody else next year, and that's perfect. And then I think we've actually done a job. And I think it's just worthy of acknowledgement. It's just too much. It's just too much. You know, the way that things swing, it's just too much. Like, there's a reason. That's the reason why I backed him for what I did. Even when we weren't winning games, is because I know firsthand the changes that went on behind the scenes and how necessary they were. And people either aren't interested in it, want to deny it. It doesn't matter. I know for a fact the amount of things that have changed behind the scenes because not just because of him. Ineos, Wilcox, etc. They do deserve credit on that too because they were part of it. But they did change a lot that nobody else did. And I know just how bad it was behind the scenes under Ten Hag, which is why I treated them very differently. It's the behind the scenes, it's the culture, it's the squad, it's all of that. I have a very, very different view based on knowledge of what went on behind the scenes under those people. You know, there's a difference. Under Ten Hag, Casemiro, a consummate professional, 5-time Champions League winner, was left out, was putting stories through Brazil media about how shit it was and how he was being treated. You hear from Varane, you hear from the professionals of this game how bad it was under Ten Hag behind the scenes versus Amorim. Very, very different. But at the end of the day, on the pitch, results are what are going to keep you in the job, keep you in support, and give you time. And that still has to happen as well. But I definitely think it's, you know, it would be eventually someday we can settle, hopefully. I don't know that we will, but you know, the simple fact is claims and things about like, you know, claims and things about, that's why I don't, you know, claims and things about Amorim, yes, obviously onto his record, being the worst manager and put us through hell and all that. I'm sorry, you're fucking wrong. You're just wrong. There's so many good things that had to happen there. On the pitch, fair enough. You know, tactics, they didn't work out. They didn't fit United, but you are so wrong. And it's unfortunately a lack of understanding of what was going on behind the scenes and all of that before. But that's why I stay consistent with it. I'm not a bullshitter. I'll tell you what I think because of what I know. But it is what it is, and that's fine. And so we move forward from that. And I think that it's just like Dalot said, it's a period in our history. It's bold to claim and people won't believe it, but that's the truth. A necessary thing, that's over now. We move forward and evolve into the future, and we are well set up. And one of the things I do want to say there is that the more I think about it, we did this live the other day talking about how, like we did this thing yesterday talking about all these opportunities that are out there in the market. And I've been thinking, dangerous thing to do, right? But I've been thinking, the owners, as well as Wilcox, Omar, and such, they've got to go in this summer like a team that's going to win a title next year. That's how they have to approach it. That's how they have to approach it. You know? That's it. They have to approach it that way. They just do. They have to approach it like that. There's no other choice. We are where we are, and you know, this is what got me thinking about it more. You look at Arsenal. They're still on top of the league. They're still likely going to be, if they end up dropping out of the top of the league and bottling it, it'll be in like April, maybe end of March, by the time that they get overtaken. If that is the standard for winning the league, you must look at it like we're not that far off. Forget the league position we're in. Forget the amount of points. The gap between us and winning the league is not that big. It's significant, but it's not that big. The gap between our squad, our team, especially the first 11 and such, and winning the league is not that big. It's not that significant. Now, that may be because, it may be that everything's really crunched. And 3 years ago, the floor was here and the top was here. And now the floor is here and the top is here. And you're still in here. But we are not that far off. And that's how they need to look at this window. Responsibly look at it and say, we need to go for a title win. That's how we should have the mindset. It doesn't mean you fail if you don't win the title next year. But you have to look at this as an opportunity and say, what would we do? And this goes for the manager decision as well. That's why it's so important. What would we do if we wanted to win a title next season? What would our choices be? And those are the choices we need to make. Now, that doesn't mean you buy old players, because title-winning teams are usually not buying older players anyway. Buying older players is not normally a thing, in general. But not normally a thing you should do in general. But that's the decision that has to be made. What coach would you hire if you want to win a title next year? Who are you getting in the midfield if you want to build a title next year? Who are you getting on the wings if you want to build a title next year? There's decisions you're going to make like, well, we don't know if we need a center back. We'll see how they develop. Sack it off. I'm not saying don't develop those players. What would you do? Frame your decision-making around, if you want to win a title next year, what would you do? I don't know what the right answer is. I don't know. But that's the framing for every discussion and every decision. Big, up on the wall, like the believe sign. What would we do if we were trying to win a title next year? Every answer to every question should run through that filter. That's what needs to happen. That's how they have to approach this. Because it's not unrealistic. And belief is a strong thing. Belief is a strong, strong, strong thing. Momentum is a strong, strong thing. You end the season well. You go into it. You get those players. You start winning games. Shit happens. Shit can happen. So that's what I see. And if we were going for a title, then what our decisions would be, I think, would be very, not too different from what we're doing now, because I'm not saying you throw it all away or something, or abandon your smart and well-worked plans. But maybe you just take that extra step, right? Go that extra mile. Make that slightly more difficult decision than you would have before. And I'm thinking about things like the center back, because it's one where I've looked at it and gone, based on my knowledge, it's a bit up in the air. If we don't buy a center back, we won't win a title next year. I can almost guarantee that personally, because of the reasons we've talked about. The difficulties with the pace, the difficulties with the high line, the difficulties with these small teams. We really, really need someone who can, come in, inject a bit of pace, top kind of center back for those types of games. We've got to have it. Maybe Yoro's that guy, but maybe he's not quite ready yet. Is there somebody, who else can we get? Maybe be a little more intent on that. I'm not saying you even don't resign Maguire. Have 6. If we're going to be in 3 competitions, have Heaven, have Yoro, have Lissandro, have De Ligt, have Maguire, and have a signing. You've got your Champions Leagues. It's a different style of game. You've got League Cups. You can go Heaven and Yoro. You got Premier League where you can mix it up a little bit. Go for it. There's so many different matchups. Go for it. And that some of them are going to leave in the future anyway, in the next year. But go for it. That's what I'm looking at. And make sure we have enough options. But I like the center back is one in particular, because I know we'll go for it in the midfield. I know we're going to go for 2-3 signings there, make a big difference. And I think we're going to have enough forward options. But I'm looking at the back line and going, well, yeah, there's those fullbacks. There's options there. You know, that big list we did yesterday. But at center backs, I'm looking at, well, you know, that extra signing of a someone like Murillo who can inject a bit of pace, you know, and physicality in the back line for games, that's familiar with the Premier League, might make a huge difference in that chase next season. It might. You know, in the midfield, making sure you sign that third player who could be a good backup six, like a, you know, like a, I'm not saying you're going to get these players, but like we were discussing, you know, the Stack or the Sanderberg type or something like that, that could make a big difference. Or the Buwadi as a third signing. So you have more options that you trust. It's things like that I think you got to go for. Cause I think our top end signings look really good, but I'm just a little worried about the other side of it. Just a little bit worried about, will we get enough players in? You know, that's the biggest question that I've got at this point in time, and especially in the defense, because we want to rebuild the defense next year, but why not do some of it now? Why can't we do it now? Why not go for it? That's what I'm thinking. You know what I mean? That's where I'm at now. What if we just go for it? I don't know. I want to do the big rebuild, obviously, and there'll be more to come. And I appreciate the strategy and the patience, and I'm not suggesting we change that, but I do think that we could go even further. Has Zinedine Zidane finally been agreed to France? That one's been in the works for like 5 years, 6 years now. He's been, since he left Madrid, he's just been waiting for that job to become available. It has never been an option. Should we hire Deschamps for attacking football? Yeah, I know. I don't know where he's going to go, but. Did you see the Athletic article of the Prem 60 best ever? They had Jamie Carragher, but not Vidic. Listen. Respectfully to what the hell is this article? Did they hide it? Did they delete it? Because it was so bad. I can't find this article. Seems like it's been hidden. Maybe it got such bad rankings. But respectfully to the Athletics opinion piece writers. They should find some new opinion piece writers. How about that? That'll be my opinion, okay? They should find some new opinion piece writers, because some of the things that have come out of there from opinion pieces in the last like 12 to 24 months have been so bad. I don't even know where to start. This was the list. This was the one where I was like, sorry? The list of the best 153 signings. Right? This might go down as one of the worst takes I have ever seen in my life. That João Palhinha, rated as the best move of the last summer window. And look, you go up the list. Esteval's a good player. This has been a disaster. This is okay. This has been okay. Okay. All right. Okay. Like, it's like disaster. This is a good signing, but it's seriously like disaster after disaster after disaster. You know what I mean? Of takes. And you get to the best one for United is rated. Hold on. How far down is it? After disaster after disaster after disaster, you get to Mbumo at 34. One of the best Premier League players. Such an obviously like straight in, like anyone with any sense who didn't have a pure bias would have put this in the top 3 because it was that good a deal that everybody wanted and everybody was jealous of because anyone with even a hint of sense knew how good Brian Mbumo was going to be. Anyone with even a fucking ounce of having watched football would have put Mbumo in the top 3. It was such a nailed-on successful signing with how good a player he is and his attributes. 34. And then Šeško at 35. I mean, it's crazy. It's actually crazy. It's one of the worst things I've ever seen, I'll be honest. I looked at it and I was just like, this is wow. Okay. Hold on. Lamens. 80th rated on the list. 80th. 80th best signing. 5 years for 21 million to upgrade on Bayindir and Onana. 80th. And look at the way that they insulted him, too. Look at the insult to analysis. If the Athletics' 8-year-old nephew's opinion is anything to go by, he's excellent. Bro, the guy is a Courtois regen. That's what you could come up with as an analysis. Absolutely insulting. 80th. Have you seen our keepers? Lamens is probably in the top 5 best signings of the whole league. This is the truth. Your 8-year-old knows better than the guy who wrote this damn thing. I'm just saying it's insulting that they couldn't actually do any real analysis. You know what I mean? He was rated 5 above Victor Lindelof. Like, what the hell? Anyway. Yeah. Not a fan. Not a fan of that analysis. Yeah, so whatever. The other thing I saw that, somebody pointed out here that did happen is Connor Hunter replaced Luke Fedorenko as the head of academy recruitment. I don't know anything about like the details of what that means, but that's just a change that has occurred, right? But yeah. Yeah, 2 losses since the signing, and we were in crisis the whole time. I know. Crazy stuff. Crazy stuff. You knew from the first game that Lamens was going to be a star. Like, that he was going to be a game changer for us. From that first game against Sunderland, it was so obvious that he was going to fix so many problems and that he was so good. He was good. It was so obvious. So boringly obvious. But whatever, man. Whatever. So anyway, that's that. That's it. You know, otherwise we've got a game on Monday. Obviously an interesting weekend of football ahead of us. Got an interesting week of football ahead of us. The picks are live for this weekend. Everton, I don't know if they're in the comments or in the link below, but they're here in the chat. I'll make sure that it's in the link later. Mbumo to score, Bruno to score, Over 3.5 goals, that's not going to happen. It's going to be a low-scoring game. I say that, and then it'll be some crazy like 4-2 or something. But yeah, you can go get your picks in. We'll discuss that a little more, and I'll make mine as we get closer to the game. Can we hire that kid and put him in charge of our summer recruitment? Maybe. Yeah, Lamens is good in all respects. Wait, I want to just, you know what I haven't looked at in a while is the radials for keepers. I remember looking at our radials and going, why do the radials look so? The stats are, the keepers graphs are always crazy. For some reason he's got like one of the lowest save percentages. It's probably because we actually have really good at preventing shots these days, funnily. Come to think of it. How many shots do we face? Have we gotten a lot better at reducing shots against? Yeah, we're like second in the league at reducing shots against. So that would make sense because you're not going to have a good save percentage if you don't allow a lot of shots. Because you're still good, because the shots you do allow are usually going to be high quality chances, right? So when you reduce the amount of shots, you concede a lot. Usually it doesn't look as good for a keeper on the stats. That's why stats are funky. Always got to be, especially defenders and keepers, man. Stats can be really misleading. What's up, Sully? Oh, sorry, my thing's in there. Oh, come on, camera. There you go. How you doing, Sully? Hope you're well, my friend. Sully, of course, as we discussed earlier, bringing us the news on Mane from Wolves during the week. That was a good one. Very good piece of news. Hopefully, as well, seeing Dorgu back not too late. I'm guessing Dorgu will be back after that big break in March to April. I think he'll be back after that, it looks like. But hope you're doing well, Sully, and exciting times ahead. But there you have it. I think we've reached the end of what I wanted to cover today. That's it. I'll be back tomorrow after some of the games, after some of the matches ongoing, and I guess we'll see where we sit. But it's interesting times. Mane won't be the left wing signing, by the way. Yeah, I didn't think he would be, right? And that's good info to have, that he won't be the guy. He's not like the left wing signing where we're looking at these other names and players for the wingers. Yeah. Like an opportunity, right? Like I don't know how else we describe it, but I remember the first summer. That is good news, though. That's really good to know. So he's not like replacing like the Diomande and Jai type of players on the left wing, but an opportunity. But I like that, because if we can get more good opportunities like that, then that's great. That's really good to know, considering it's your update. That's really good to know. So there you have it. Come by the channel for Sully exclusives in the chat, right? I appreciate you saying that. That's good to know. I remember the first summer under Ineos, they called Lenny like that. Like, it wasn't like we needed necessarily. It was like there's an opportunity for a good young player, even though Lenny was very expensive. But they've shown a willingness to do that. I will say though, that it probably demonstrates that, which is what I think, which is that I think we're going to go spend a lot more than people think. I think we're going to clear a lot of money this summer. And if we get into Champions League, I do think we'll end up with more players than expected. You know, I think we'll end up with a lot of signings this year. And the fact that with the players we want to rebuild the team, then adding some extras on top of that would be pretty good. Yeah, if Sully ever does, I know he's not going to do the YouTube stuff, but if Sully ever does want to partner up, he can always come on here anytime, anywhere. But we appreciate what Sully does. All right, guys, let's leave it there, okay? I think that's it. We've hit the hour mark. I did a video this morning doing a brief recap of the news, and it was 15, 20 minutes. Not too much to talk about because it's been very, very quiet, but I'm glad football's back. All right. So thank you all for dropping by. Enjoy your Friday evening. I will catch you all tomorrow in and around the games. And yeah, all right. Thank you, everybody. Drop a like on the video on the way out. Enjoy the rest of your day. And I'll catch you in the next one. Bye, guys. See ya.